the acceleration of a particle moving along the t-axis is given by a of t equals 6t minus 4 at t seconds. The particle starts 8 nanometers to the right of the origin and begins moving to the left at a rate of 4 nanometers per second. It's the same problem we've been looking at, but we're going to look at part D this time. Let's take a look at that. So again, if you haven't watched parts A through C, go ahead and do that and be part of the playlist. And then after that, you can watch this part so you can be caught up to speed. So here's the question. When, if ever, is the particle to the left of the origin? So this is a different kind of question. We've looked at velocity, we've looked at speed, slowing down and all that. Now we're just looking at a position type of question. When is it left of the origin? Step 1, write out what is given algebraically. So again, when you're doing particle motion, always write out what is given. In this case, a of t equals 16 minus 4. Then step 2, we're going to convert what is given verbally to algebraic expressions. First, it said the particle starts 8 nanometers to the right of the origin, so we know that the initial position s of 0 equals 8. Next, it said begins moving to the left at a rate of 4 nanometers per second. So we know v of 0, or the initial velocity, is negative 4 since it's moving to the left. Now, I've been doing this every time. I'm going to be doing it again. We're going to watch the simulation of this particle. So I just want you to look and see, does it ever move to the left of the origin being 0, 0? We can see it moves all the way to 0, and it looks like it might have moved past a little bit, right? I couldn't really tell based on it was really close, right? So we're going to go ahead and figure that out algebraically. Convert the verbally stated question to an algebraic expression whenever it says when, we're trying to solve for t, right? So we don't know what t is, we're going to put a question mark. The particle is to the left of the origin. This is very key. This is when s of t is less than 0, when the position is less than 0. For step 4, we always want to map out the relationship between position, velocity, and acceleration, because if you're starting with acceleration, you need to know which way to go, forward or backwards, and to get to position. Now, by forward and backwards, I mean integral or derivative. And since you're moving from acceleration to position, you're going to have to integrate twice. And I'm not good at drawing the integral symbol, but I'll do my best here. So you want to find the double integral of acceleration. Okay, and if you do that, you end up with position, because acceleration is the second derivative position. So step 5, you want to solve the problem using either initial value or derivative procedures. In this case, we want to take the antiderivative twice. Again, in the previous example, we already found the first derivative of 6t minus 4, which was our acceleration. The first derivative of that is 3t squared minus 4t plus c. We found c by using the fact that the initial velocity was negative 4, so that will be our c value. So it's 3t squared minus 4t minus 4 for the velocity. To find the position equation, you integrate that again, and you moved to the wrong place there. Using the reverse power rule, add 1 to the exponent, divide by that, so 3t cubed over 3 minus 4t squared over 2 minus 4t plus c. Simplify that down to t cubed minus 2t squared minus 4t plus c. So this is the position equation. Now, how do we solve for c? Well, we've got that initial position. It said that the particle started 8 nanometers to the right, so we know s of 0 equals 8, which pretty much tells us that this c value is going to be 8, because all these are going to turn to 0, and that's going to become 8, right? So we can skip all this stuff and just go ahead and say, well, if the initial position is 8, then the c value must be 8. Okay, so now that we know the position equation, we want to figure out, is it ever left of the origin? So all we need to do is figure out, is the position ever less than 0? So we are going to just set the entire equation less than 0 and figure out, is there a solution for this? In order to do that, we basically have to figure out when it equals 0 and then go from there and see if it's less than 0. So we're going to factor this. Pull a GCF out of the first two, which is t squared. Pull a GCF out of the next two, which is negative 4. You're left with the same factor of t minus 2. And then your leftover is t squared minus 4. And then, of course, t squared minus 4 factors again, right? To t plus 2, t minus 2, because it's a difference of squares. So we have two t values that can be equal to 0, -2 and 2. Okay, so the negative doesn't matter, again, because negative time doesn't really exist except in alternate universes. So we're just going to use 2. We're going to plug in 1 into our position equation. You could just plug it into the factored form, so you could just plug in 1 here. Or you could plug it into the original position equation, which is right here. Either way, you're going to get the same number back. Let's just do this one. And plug in 1, I'm going to get -1 times 3, which is -3, times -1, which is +3. So if I get a positive number back when I plugged in 1 into the position equation, that means its position is positive from 0 to 2. Now here's the thing. If I plug in the test value of 3 into the position equation, again, you can either plug it in there or there. What do I get back? Well, again, let's just do this real quick. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 times this would be 3 plus 2 is 5. This is 1. So you get 5 back. So I get positive again. So does that mean it's always moving to the right? No. We already saw at 2 that it actually slowed down. I'm sorry, not moving to the right. Is it always to the right of the origin? Is its position always to the right? Because we plug these test values in and we got positive both times. Well, maybe not necessarily at 2, right? We saw its position was 0, but it never actually reached left. So this confirms the fact that it's never to the left of the origin because its position is never negative from 0 to infinity, right? We know it's equal to 0 at 2 because that's one of the intercepts we got when we solved for the position equal to 0. So the final answer is the particle reaches the origin but never actually moves to the left of it. The reason for this is that its position is positive from time t equals 0 to t equals 2. At t equals 2, its position is 0. However, after time t equals 2, its position becomes positive and remains that way indefinitely. What we really need to learn from this is just because it has an intercept doesn't mean the sign is going to change, doesn't mean its position is going to change from right of the origin to left of the origin or vice versa. You must do a chart to verify that. So let's go ahead and simulate this one more time. We can see the particles moving. I'll get that off of there. You can see right there at 0. It hits 0, but it never goes to the left of the origin. And so that just confirms the fact that, nope, it never reaches the left of the origin. It's always to the right of the origin except at time t equals 2, in which case it's on the origin. That's it for this particular question of the particle's position relative to the origin. If you have any other questions about it, let me know.